There we go. Hey, how you doing? My name is Denny, and it's almost May already, and that means we're coming into camping season. And camping season means I'm going to need to have some fire starters. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be making a couple of my fire starters, and I've had a friend of mine ask me, how do you make those fire starters? In order to make a fire starter, 3 ingredients need is the base of your fire starter is going to be right here. It's a half of an egg carton, the part with the cups. You need some wood chips that you're going to put into those egg cartons thusly. So you can see I've got some wood chips here, and I just got them packed down. Matter of fact, I just take a little hammer and just kind of make sure that they're kind of pressed right into those little holes there. Okay, so, and of course wax. And this container here, yogurt container, used to be full, completely full of wax, but I've been chopping off chunks of it, and I got it in a double boiler right here, and I'm getting ready to melt some of that down. So I'm out here on my little outbuilding, and I've got some water, about this is a number 10 can right there, about half full of water. As I get the water up near the boiling stage, that will cause the wax to melt within the inner can here. And from there, I pour this wax from this can into this can here, which I bent to make a pour spout. But as I'm pouring it, I run it through a strainer to strain out any of the impurities, because I do use recycled candles in there, and those recycled candles have wicks, or those little metal things that hold the wicks in the bottom of things like jar candles. Speaking of jar candles, I have an old jar candle right here, and this jar candle, in order to get the wax out of it, all I did is put it right into the water the same way I did with the can. So placing the jar candle into boiling water will allow you to melt the wax out of the jar, and then I pour it into a mold and set it aside later. I've got 3 different types of wax that I like to use. The first one, most prevalent, I should say, not important, but most prevalent, is a paraffin type wax that they use for candles, and that's what I have here in this can. And it is starting to melt already. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the wax is starting to melt. Paraffin wax, most candles are made of paraffin. Beeswax, if you can get beeswax, that's the best quality wax, but I wouldn't use beeswax to make fire starters. I would use beeswax to make, whoa, easy there. I'm gonna turn my burner down now. Yeah, beeswax I would use to make more candles. And soy wax, which I'm not a big fan of soy wax, but soy wax, I usually, if I do get soy wax, I put it in a separate container, so I can keep them separate. Oh, there's actually another type of wax, crayon wax. Crayon wax works very well. However, crayon wax is extremely hard, and let me turn this down a bit more. So you really can't see the flame here, but I got a good boil going now. So yeah, crayon wax is a little bit harder, and in order to melt crayon wax, a double boiler system like what I'm doing here probably won't work as well. So I would take the inner can here, and I would place it directly onto the burner and use a very, very, very low flame. As a matter of fact, when I have crayon wax, I kind of prefer to do them in my house as opposed to on my camp stove, because I need some pliers pretty soon. Because the burners on the camp stove burn quite hot. So my stove has a small gas burner, and I set it at the lowest possible setting and put the can directly onto the burner in order to melt crayon wax. But crayon wax is a very hard wax, so it makes very good fire starters though. So now I have a skewer. This is just an ordinary skewer for, you know, shish kebab or whatnot. And I'm just going to stir, and you can see as I'm stirring here that there's still wax in there. And I don't know if you saw that metal thing just now. That was from the bottom of that jar candle that I just showed you a little while ago. There's a piece of it. It was a red wax. I don't really care about colors, but there's that metal thing. You see it right down there? But the strainer will take care of that. So the wax isn't quite ready yet, so we'll just let that go for a little bit longer. And when it's ready to pour, I think what I'll do is I'll pause the video, and through digital editing, next thing you'll see is going to be the candles getting ready to be, fire starters ready to pour. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Well, as promised, I'm going to pick up with pouring some wax here. Now, one of the things that I did is I put this little sieve into the pot with the wax, because whenever I use it, it gets clogged up with wax, and if you're going to pour hot wax into it, you got to kind of do it slowly and let the wax melt. But if I preheat the thing, I don't have to do that. So this is just to filter out anything that might be in there, like that metal thing. There it is. There you go. To get that out of there. And I can put this off to the side for the time being. And now I'm going to pour the wax, but the can does tend to get a little hot. So I'm just going to put on a glove. You know, these gloves are gloves have seen better days, but they're enough to do it. And I'm just going to pour that in there pretty liberally. I let it soak into the paper, let it soak into the wood chips, and oh my goodness, apparently I need to melt more wax. I didn't even get one egg carton done. Alright, well, you know what that means. Back to the boiler. Okay, so I'll boil up some more, and or melt some more rather, and we'll be back. I might as well cover this aspect as well. I've got the tools right here, so I'm going to take out my chunk of wax, and it's hard to melt a big chunk, so I like to break it up, and I'll do that with a putty knife or whatever. Let's see if I can do this without knocking stuff all over the place. Whoa! All right. Now, a big chunk like that will take a lot longer to melt, so I'm going to break it up a bit. Kind of did it. Piece went flying over there. All right. So break it up a little bit. It'll melt faster. And when it's ready, which shouldn't be too long now that I got the water really good and hot, once the wax is ready, we'll pick up on pouring. Okay, so I'm now down in my super messy shop, but the final step to making the these fire starters into fire starters is to cut them apart. And about the best way I've found to do that is to use the old bandsaw here. So anyway, let's just cut these apart. Someplace, I don't know what happened to it. So there they are, all of my, oh, I found the bag. How about that? There's my 2 dozen fire starters, add to my collection. And you know what? As long as I got a little bit of daylight left, might as well show you what these things can do, huh? And I don't actually want to get a fire going because it's getting late and I'm ready to go in the house. But I will burn one of these things. So there's my fire starter in the old fire pit. Just put a little flame onto that cardboard right there and drop the match right into it. Let's see what happens. Let's see. There you go. Does flame up pretty good. And it'll actually burn about like that for maybe about 5 minutes or so. And that's plenty of time to get a fire started. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to actually get a fire started. So I'm going to put this kindling that I got in there off to the side. But that's it. That's the fire starter. And that'll go for at least a good 5 minutes. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, so that's how I make my fire starters. I hope you enjoyed my video. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you got a technique now. I don't know. Anyway, that should answer your question on how I make my fire starters. How do you make yours? I don't know. Maybe you should make a video. Okay, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.